All right, so we should be live now. My name is Dan, and welcome to CrossHack, which is kind of our informal hacking stream for the Crossplane community. Today, I am joined by two folks who you're probably already familiar with, who have both been on some of our streams before and are also just, celebrities in the cloud native community. So welcome to Marques and David. Thanks for joining me today.
My pleasure.
Happy
to be here. Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. All right. So today, like I said, we're going to do kind of like an informal hacking stream. So we're actually going to show building some things pretty much from scratch. We did put some scaffolding in place so that the stream isn't too boring. But we're going to be working on a provider for Crossplane for Equinix. So before actually on TBS and some of our other streams, we've worked on an Equinix metal provider. So I'm sure David and Marques can tell the history of Equinix and Equinix metal better than I can, but essentially Equinix metal used to be Packet and they give kind of the bare metal offerings, and they've kind of preserved that offering as they've been acquired by Equinix. But Equinix itself has some different APIs. And there's one specifically that we're going to interact with today. And we're going to have actually a series of streams looking at enabling using this with Crossplane. And Crossplane is a really good solution for this because of some reasons we'll talk about later. But does one of y'all kind of want to give maybe a brief overview of Equinix Fabric and what it is and why it might be useful to folks?
Who's going to take it? I see Marques. I saw you going for it. Oh,
I'll bite. So Fabric interconnections are they're features that many cloud providers have. It allows you to connect your network in the old world, like running a wire from one section of the data center to another section of the data center. And this is the virtual incarnation of that. So you can use this, say, to connect VLANs so that your private networking on one side, I'm hearing echo, so that your private networking on one cloud is shared with another cloud, and you can keep all of your resources off the dirty, evil internet while keeping it on the internet.
Nice. Cool. Yeah. And as Marques was saying, this is, really valuable for kind of these multi-cloud or multi-region or that sort of thing scenarios. One thing that makes this a lot easier with Crossplane is that we have, providers for these other cloud providers as well. And they're referenceable. So you can say, create this thing and reference it while creating this other thing that depends on it. And today we're going to be mostly just looking at setting up the infrastructure for provisioning this connection object on Equinix. But in the future, we plan to be able to have this kind of full workflow and actually composing these granular resources of connection on Equinix and then the various components on AWS and GCP and putting them all in a single package so that, an organization that is using GCP and AWS or whatever cloud providers that Equinix Fabric supports can kind of have a one-click experience of deploying this and not having to go, between different consoles or different infrastructures, code tools, and that sort of thing.
Can I just say why Fabric is cool? I think Marques did a good job of explaining kind of what it is, but why it's so interesting is that if we take a look at AWS, Azure, and Google, who will say like of the three biggest clouds in the business, AWS only has 25 regions. Google's around the same. Azure has 50. I didn't know that until literally 4 seconds ago, but they have 50 regions, right? And those are great for connecting. But Equinix has over 220 different data centers around the world. And just being able to have Fabric as your backbone connecting multiple infrastructure providers together, I think is super interesting because you're getting that real low latency experience. Equinix really is everywhere.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. I was looking at the kind of product page here, if you will. And you can kind of see the benefit, right, of this vast network of all these different locations. And especially as all organizations are going more kind of like multinational, this is especially useful. And I'm honestly not super familiar with the Equinix service, if you will. And so I know I've asked David and Marques a little bit about it. And they've given me some insight, but it's kind of, and I like this actual diagram they have up here with it kind of in the center of all these different cloud providers. We generally think of cloud providers as almost like utility companies, right, of providing these different services, maybe a bit more competitive than utility companies. But Equinix really is underlying all of that, right? And because they're underlying all of it, they have this unique ability to offer a product like this. So anyway, like I said,
checks in the mail.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. They give me $1,000 every time I say fabric. So you'll see that on Twitter a lot over the next few weeks. But we are going to get into actually writing some code today. And so Marques and David have introduced me in some previous streams to this VS Code kind of sharing workspace concept. And we are very, very professional and sophisticated. So that's what we're using today. But we're going to make Marques actually run the show here, mostly so that we can run arbitrary commands on his machine. But we do have some scaffolding set up here, and and we are going to go ahead and build out the rest of this. So primarily what this looks like is adding support for this connection type that the Fabric API supports. And there's a number of different APIs and SDKs that Equinix has put together that we're going to utilize here. But there's multiple kind of components of this. The first is typically adding the API type. And so I think we'll go ahead and kick off with that if that sounds good to y'all.
Yeah, let's do it.
Sweet. Well, Marques, I'm not sure if you want to go ahead and do the editing, or I can put up some scaffolding for it if we want. But if you want to go up there to that APIs directory, I'll go ahead and create a new one. I think we said this will probably be in the Fabric group. What other APIs does Equinix support? Do y'all have any idea?
There's Equinix Precision Time.
Mm-hmm.
There's Equinix Fabric.
Network Edge for virtual networking devices. There's some involved. There's some APIs that I think deal more with actual procurement of physical rack space and handling your service orders and things like that. APIs that involve human interaction that takes some time. And as you were alluding to earlier, there's a benefit to having something like Crossplane manage a long running request. Some of the connection resources that you make can be physical connections. Mm-hmm. And then some of it just requires a lot of behind the scenes work. And so having something like Kubernetes sit there reconciling the request, taking possibly hours to possibly days, is something that you won't find in other infrastructure as data or code providers.
Right.
Yeah.
Every time I say infrastructure is data, I get paid $1,000.
Yeah, because we're going to be requesting a virtual device today for connecting between the different cloud providers, but you could literally have a dedicated Cisco or Jupyter box running in one of these data centers, and that's also going to take time. Whereas there's the more synchronous APIs like, hey, just give me a /31 IP block or whatever. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff.
Gotcha. Cool. Sounds good. All right. Well, I am behind the scenes here putting together some of these files while y'all talk about what is made up of the Equinix API. So I've created this Fabric directory and also a v1 alpha 1 directory inside of that where we'll put our resources to start off with. This actual API resource, maybe if you go over to notes there, Marques, and we could look at there's two different SDKs here, right? So one of them well, there's the OAuth one, which is basically we're just using for authentication. And then there is the REST-Go and ECX-Go. So REST-Go, I believe, is kind of the traditional Equinix APIs, and then ECX-Go are the Fabric APIs. So specifically for actually doing these operations, I think we'll be using the ECX-Go. So maybe we should go ahead and take a look at what types are supported by that.
Yeah. Also, we still have a V1 Beta 1 directory. I'm not sure if that's going to have long life here, or if that's a legacy of this being copied from another provider.
So the V1 Beta 1 is, and V1 Alpha 3 are top level, so they're not in a subgroup, and that's where we're keeping like the provider config objects and that sort of thing. So we'll keep those around for the time being.
Adding a little more context to how these connections can be used, there's a Terraform provider that has examples of how to connect to from Equinix to other clouds using their equivalent connection resources. I think it's AWS Direct Connect in AWS. And so it's kind of straightforward. There's what I'm trying to highlight is that there are a few resources that we may need to implement. Both on the Crossplane AWS provider side, there are some, if we want to have this work full end-to-end, which isn't the goal today, but to get things working on the ECX side, we may need more than one API implemented. Mm-hmm. Another example.
Yeah. Can I ask I'm not super familiar with Crossplanes. I don't know if this is a really obvious question, but when we get the Equinix one working and we create the connection between, say, AWS, GCP, and Equinix Metal, and we have to go and speak to the AWS and the Google or the Equinix Metal APIs, they can Crossplane coordinate those tasks across multiple providers quite well.
Yeah, so it's kind of similar to how the modules work here with Terraform. So essentially what we do is we put these different resources for the different providers into a composition, and we'd say, this depends on this one depends on that, and that sort of thing. And Crossplane will automatically resolve those patches basically between the different resources. So for instance, let's say that, I don't know the exact thing here, Marques has it up, but let's say we're creating a new VPC to do this with on AWS, and that has, I believe, has non-deterministic names with the API called AWS. So what you could do is say, create this AWS VPC, and when it returns its ID on AWS, give that to me and stick that in the Equinix connection or Equinix Fabric connection object to point at that essentially. And then those operations would be ordered. And then what you can do when you put those in a composition is you can place an abstraction in front of that via a XRD or composite resource definition that basically says, this is the schema I actually want to present to folks. And then you can determine how the fields you put in that schema map. So maybe it's, use an existing VPC versus don't, and then you conditionally, create a VPC or not, that sort of thing. The other thing you can do is if you, build this package, this configuration package with the XRD and the composition in it, you can just package that in an OCI image and push that up. And so then anyone who has a Kubernetes cluster with Crossplane installed, they can basically just, kube control apply the manifest for your, Equinix Fabric AWS, or you could do Equinix Fabric just period and have different compositions for each cloud provider. And they could just install that into their Kubernetes clusters and create connections, as many as they wanted.
Nice.
Cool. Let's see, Marques, it looks like you still have the, let's see, is that the ECX or is that the Terraform? That's Terraform.
This
right?
one's the ECX port data source. Which API are we looking to implement first? We can, I'm loading this up because the Terraform provider code is going to be doing similar things, and we can kind of get a feel for how this client works.
Right. Is the connection is the primary one we want, right?
I mean, we can, because I've already provisioned a virtual device, a network edge device, we can go straight to a connection, but maybe it might be simple to start and provision a virtual device.
Cool. Sounds fine. Either one of those.
I'm assuming it might be network device.
Which one? You saw a network device in here? I'm staring at the words and I don't see it. Network account, network device, software.
Network device software. That'll be the virtual one, I think. The other one.
Gotcha. And this one is, let's see, is this one this is just an Equinix thing, not a Fabric thing, right?
This is a Equinix network edge. So the way that Fabric works is that you have to have either a physical network edge device and each of the data centers that you want to connect, or you can run a virtual device, which is just a software version, like a Cisco router or whatever.
Gotcha.
And then you can create the connections, which are ported through the physical or virtual device.
Would it help to share your screen and kind of show what that looks like at this point, or?
I'm happy to if you want.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Like we keep setting up context. I don't know how much context we want to add versus getting straight into the types.
Well, yeah, I'll go ahead and be building this out behind the scenes if you want.
All right, let me share just the GUI ClickUp approach, and then we can, hopefully that gives people enough context about what we're trying to do, and then we'll move forward.
We'll never talk about it. We'll have our $1,000.
Fabric. Right, I got mine in. So this is the Equinix Fabric portal. You can go straight to creating a connection, but in order to do so, like I said, you need either a physical or a virtual device that can do the ports. So I'm just going to click on create a virtual device. And you get a couple of different configurations. You know, you can have them redundant or not redundant. I think for today, we definitely don't need to worry about that. From here, I can then pick which kind of device I'll be looking for. I tend to just default to the first one, which is the Cisco router. And then you pick the location. So I can add as many of these devices to whatever regions I need, wherever I want to connect. I've been using Silicon Valley because I think that's where most of my AWS resources are. So, and then we connect the billing account. Click next. It's all very boring at this point. You can decide to configure it yourself. You can actually, you know, if you're familiar with Cisco iOS commands, then, you know, by all means, feel free. I'm not going to go that way. And you can bring your own license if you want. Of course, I'm not going to do that either. And I'm going to go nice and small. I'm going to just be completely honest and say I have no idea what this is. The software package thing with Apex, AX, IP based and security. I just click Apex again because it's the first one. And versions, I've not had any particular interest in looking at what different versions do. I'm sure to many people and network people, there's lots of cool stuff there, but way beyond me. You then get to pick the kind of speed throughput that you want on this device. I'm just going to go as small as we need, and then we can give it a little bit of name and how many interfaces you want to build on it. Now, I'm not going to create this because I did create one in advance. So if I just go to our inventory for virtual devices, and search, we should see that I have a raw code Crossplane device which was provisioned yesterday. So there are a few fields involved in provisioning a virtual device. I don't know if that is where we want to start or not with the Crossplane provider, but for anyone else that was going to do this, they probably would start here. Once we have that, we can then create the connection where we say, okay, this device and this facility wants to go and speak to this cloud provider, whether it be Google, Oracle, AWS, and so forth. So hopefully that helps.
Yeah, that definitely helps, at least me. I am setting up right now a device type in a network group. So I copied over, I guess we should look at, So I copied over this certificate from the AWS provider, and I'm just clearing out some of the stuff. This will look pretty similar. You'll see that we have some of these embedded fields that come from this XPV1 import, which is just kind of these common fields that we have across all of our managed resources. And when I say managed resources, what that means is essentially these granular APIs that each of the providers support, as opposed to, you know, the ones that you compose to a higher level. So I'm going to go ahead and just do a find replace here. I'm not sure if y'all can see that. Oh yeah, it looks like you can. So I'm just going to do certificate, and this was called should we call it device or edge device? What do we think?
We have to follow the standards and call it what the API calls it. So what is that? I'm trying to load the API. So yeah.
Yeah, let's get the API docs up. I should have had that in advance.
Are you still looking?
Yeah, I don't know if you see do you see my screen and my browser window on top?
Yeah, now I do. It looks like in the SDK, it's just called a device.
Yeah.
We'll just go with device. If that sounds good to everybody. We can always change it later. Oops.
Yes, the API is /any/v1/devices, and it's like create device endpoint. So yeah, let's go with that.
Awesome. All right. So we are moving right along here. Let me go down and we'll make this Equinix just so we can find these a little easier in the cluster. All right. So maybe Marques, if you want, we can pull up, or actually, you know what? I can just export it in here. This is something I do from time to time. I'm not sure if we've actually imported this. We have not, the Equinix rest to go. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll take this. This is the Fabric one, but once again, we're not doing Fabric here. We are just doing plain Equinix. So I'm going to bring this over here, and it was rest go, right? I believe that's it. We'll just import this as EQ. And we'll just say
for network device. Edge, there's also an ego.
An ego?
Yeah.
Separate SDK. Y'all gotta standardize here for me. Y'all are killing me.
I think all we'll need is NEGO and ECX Go. We would probably can just omit the rest. Might just be a wrapper for all of them. I'm not entirely sure.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I'm taking a look at the NEGO one real quick. Yes. Thank you, Marques. I think that is.
Use it somewhere. That's why you did that.
Yeah. So I'm just doing an anonymous import here just to see if we can. Let's see, rest device. What is the actual type called?
So the rest go is actually the boilerplate that the Fabric and Network Edge clients both consume. So it's a good thing we didn't put in rest go.
Nice. Okay. All right. And then let me also, I keep looking like over to the Zoom as well to see what y'all are seeing, because I don't know if it's tracking, but it looks like it is. That's actually pretty nifty. All right. It doesn't like my Fabric import. That's okay, because that doesn't exist yet. Ooh, is that gonna keep me from actually doing this though? What if I get really crazy here and just do that? Does that make it more happy with me?
The test might pass.
That's true. If you don't have any code, it's very, very easy to make sure you have no bugs. All right. Aha, now we have a device. And this doesn't, oh. Okay, I was literally coming out of my mouth was, this doesn't look too bad to me. But it also doesn't look too good to me. Let's look actually at maybe we could do
like a simple a resource that say we just give it the ID and it just imports the name just to show that we've connected to the API. Maybe it pulls in the status.
I'm not sure what's required for this device. This is what I wanted to. Oh, this is.
I was thinking that we could do create after we have a working read, and then it'll be easier to show that we've connected to the API, that we've fetched a resource using external name, and
right.
create is hard because it has so many fields.
We still have to do that translation though, from the external API to this one. So we need to have a representation of all of these.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So like, even if we don't support create right off the bat, we still need to have all of these present in the type for us to, assume control of it as well.
So can you command click on that device? Like, I don't think I see your tooltips, so I didn't understand why you were like half happy, half worried.
I see. So it looks like it doesn't follow. It doesn't follow tracing that. But yeah, Marques can look at it.
And then I lose focus because you clicked it. This is fun.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
That's fine. So this was any. We have to prefix our types too.
Let's see. So this is going to be UUID, omit empty, and yeah,
everybody.
We can just make these all. Yeah, you want to help a guy out here. There's probably a much faster way to do this. But
Kubernetes style naming.
The what I was going to say is that we can just make these all optional. I think this is kind of what you were alluding to, Marques, is just make these all optional for now. And then.
Yeah, I would have even just left them out of the spec entirely for now. And then the spec is just a spec of an ID and a name so that we don't have to pair up all these fields. At least they're all optional. So we don't lose anything
right
if we don't set them.
Right. That's true. Well, if we want to go ahead, thank you. If we want to go ahead and do that, the beauty of this is that we can have people doing multiple things at the same time. Also, I'm guessing some of these fields are only going to be in the status. And so let's see. David, you mentioned that you do have a device already set up. So I'm going to go down here. If y'all want to keep working on that, I'll give you all the fun work. And I'll go over and do the grueling work of actually writing this controller. Just kidding.
Should I switch to let's switch to you screen sharing if you're prepared for that? All right.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Oh, who did that?
It just follows me. So let's.
Did you wipe out the whole file?
Yeah, I think it just deleted the whole file.
Oh, really? Where? I think you just got switched to another one.
All right.
Yeah. Although I think that did happen earlier and I was hitting Control Z on it. All right.
We have to make sure we save frequently.
Yeah.
It's like Final Fantasy. Just save your game.
All right. So I'm just gonna go ahead and make a device controller here. And I just copied over the one we have for the fabric.
Is it keeping focus for you, or is it jumping if I jump files?
I had to unfollow you because it was getting annoying, but I'm following Dan on the side so I can still type, which is working okay.
Yeah, it's working for me here. It's not jumping with you, so I guess I haven't said to follow you. All right, so I'm going to import this type that we are creating right now, and we'll call this net v1 alpha 1. Well, actually, doesn't really matter. Okay, so we want to make this we need to add all these different types as well. I will assume that Marques or someone is adding it behind the scenes here. Device, group, version, kind, and these all look fine. This is just basically setting up our shared managed reconciler that we use in Crossplane. So instead of writing a full Kubernetes reconciliation loop, since all of our managed resources are pretty similar here, we actually can just provide these observe, create, update, delete methods and go from there. And it's a lot easier.
I'm going to try to unfollow you on my side just to make sure I can type things. Let's make sure it doesn't break anything for you. Yeah. Follow to the side, unfollow participant. Okay. I think everybody's still happy. Cool.
I don't know if I'm happy, but it's working. All right. So we have, I guess I should rename all these connection externals to maybe something like device external. Let's go ahead and hit that. And set up connection. Make this. Oops. Set up device. All right. We'll just change all of these at the same time. Make that a device. Awesome. All right. So we've got that mostly straight away here. Let me go ahead and make this a device. All right. So one of the things that we were talking about beforehand is exactly what information we want to put in our secret. And the way this works is we have some common credential extractors, which you don't have to use this, but essentially every managed resource, and I'll hop back over to where we were working on this, has this embedded type resource spec, and in it, it has a provider config reference. And this is essentially just a reference to this provider config object type. Every provider supports the provider config object type. And this is basically how you create a representation of some sort of scoped credentials, right, for a provider. So you could have, a ton of these for AWS or Equinix or GCP or whatever. And then they point at actually a provider credential source. And that source is traditionally a Kubernetes secret because that's really easy, to use, and everyone's pretty much familiar with it. But there's actually some common sources. You can see some of them here, such as secret, environment, file system. So some of the examples we've shown, and we actually have a guide for this also. I'll pull it up real quick about how you can take a look at, let's see, this Vault credential injection here. So basically you can use something like the Vault sidecar to, store your provider credentials in Vault and inject them into the file system of the provider pod that's running. And then you can create a provider config that, for instance, points at a file in the file system for these credentials. If you're running locally, that's really helpful because you can point at the file system. And then same with environment variables, either in your container or on your local machine. And then you can just choose what source you want and how to extract it. So generally, the way that we're going to do this is in our connect method here, we're going to get the provider config for the managed resource we're reconciling. So in this case, someone has created an instance of a network edge device. And so we're going to get the provider config that it references. And we'll skip over talking about this provider config usage, but we can touch on that in a little bit. But essentially, you'll see here, we're saying for this device, get the provider config reference by name. It's cluster scoped object, so we don't need namespace. We're going to get that into our PC type we defined here. And then we're going to extract the credentials. So because we have these common credential methods, we also have a common credential extractor, which it looks like it's not letting me follow that right now. But essentially, it's going to evaluate the source that you give it and either, extract them from the file system, extract environment variables, or go get the secret and give it back to you. And it's going to give it to you in just a byte slice here. And then we'll need to pull out these various fields depending on what all we want to put in there. We could just start out, for instance, in making it, let's just say that we are actually going to populate this. So actual value. And for this one, we'll say this is actually just whatever we get back from our credentials extraction. And then I'm not sure what the base URL is. Could one of y'all check out what the base URL is? I saw that in the OAuth to go package for Ethereum. I mean, not Ethereum, Equinix. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Your stream's right.
Yeah. We're doing a crypto stream later today if anyone wants to join. All right, but if someone wants to look that up, I assume it's like api.equinix.com or whatever. All All right. And then we don't want the ECX client here in this one. We want that NEGO one. Let's see.
It's just api.equinix.com.
Nice.
How did you know it was HTTPS?
I made the good faith assumption. All right. And then I'm guessing that our NE. Oh, is it still not liking it? Let's see if I can go get this for us. I thought it was happy now.
Gomod's always a pleasure.
Does it not like this? Let me paste. There we go. I don't know what the shorthand is for that. All right, let's see if it likes this now. I'm just assuming there's a new client method that matches, but it's not giving me autocomplete. Here, let me hop over and see if it's in the docs here.
I'll try to dig it up in the Terraform side of things. The NE client.
It's actually the exact same as it is for ECX. Well, that is nice. I appreciate that. So we'll call this NE. All right. So we should probably make this base URL a const, but we will not for now. All right. Also, this is kind of a useless optimization here, but it just kind of bothered me having this declared for no reason. All right. So now we should have this NE client that we can use throughout here. So as Marques mentioned at the beginning, we can just populate something like the name or something like that in the observe method for whatever already exists. So we don't need this anymore. What is it not like here? Give me something expected. Oh, this would definitely be why here. I'm not sure how this got like this, but there we go. And what we call this net v1 alpha 1 is what it's supposed to be.
It's a duplication of the line. Okay.
Let's see, net work. Let's see. Oh.
Yeah, something weird going on there.
Yeah. Let's see if I can undo that. There we go.
How does this compare to clustered, David?
I'm a lot less stressed. I just get to watch you two work, which I'm quite enjoying. I've got you on the left and Dan on the right. It's good.
You're working on those management skills is what you're doing right now. All right. Is it happy now? Okay, yeah. We can ignore this for now. Call this NE. Does it not like that? Oh, okay. It's still just catching up for me here. All right. And I'm just going to ignore these for now just to make the errors go away. It doesn't like this, but that's because all of my imports are wrong. Here I am getting mad at the language server, and it's my fault. All right. We should be looking pretty good here now. Let me just do a...
So just so I'm understanding everything right, what we've done is define all of the structs that are required to represent objects in the REST API for Network Edge. And because you're using Kube Builder here, like that's actually going to expose CRD types that we can apply their cluster.
Yep, that's pretty much spot on. Actually, what you're watching me do right now is not be able to import a package. But besides that, it was spot on. All right, it seems to be happy now. Maybe if I just, sometimes just closing and opening these helps for me.
Yeah, the Rust language server comes with a restart option, but I don't think the Go one does, but they do great often.
Yeah, there is. I can run the restart now.
Yeah, do that. That usually helps.
Some of the things we're missing the generated files.
Yeah.
So we're getting some warnings about that.
Right. Let's see. And yeah, these are all for the generated thing. Okay, so I'm going to hop back up here, and we need to do a register .go to get these in here. Let's see. All right, so this is what, V1 alpha 1. And David, you use Rust Analyzer, right? Or do you use the regular language server?
No, I use Rust Analyzer.
Okay. That seems to be the de facto from what I've heard.
Yeah, at first I used to hate all those like annotations it would put in the code editor telling you all of the types everywhere, and I thought it was noisy and messy. And now I think it just took a few hours, but now I love it.
Yeah, that was my experience.
Why is that?
Yeah, the line would get so long. I'd be like, what is this talking about? All right, hold on. Let me
see in device.go line 91, we have the common credential selector has a problem.
In device.go. Oh, here.
Yeah.
I think this is just supposed to be c.cube, probably. Maybe it'll fix itself while I'm doing this other stuff. All right. So this looks good. And then I need to add this in here. Let's see. We'll just call this network V1 alpha 1. All right. And we'll add that. Let's see. Perfect. All right, that looks good. And then I'll do our make generate here and see if it gets upset. Aha, go generate Darwin. That's kind of fun.
Yeah, I noticed your right click context menu is very Ubuntu.
Yeah.
So I should have gotten rid of some of our other warnings that we had. Device to go looks clean now, almost clean. Net V1 beta 1 is not declared. Oh, net V1 alpha 1.
Yeah. All right.
Or did you see errors? I didn't see any errors.
Well, I'm just sitting in the device go file, so I saw some red curly text.
Let's see. I'm gonna close this.
Yeah, off to the left, any red files are problematic. Have two VS Code
files.
Yeah.
All right. Also, I probably should have mentioned this earlier. If anyone's in the chat and has questions about what's going on, definitely feel free to ask. I know we're just kind of like hacking around here, so we're happy to dive deeper on any of those things. This is demo-driven development here, so I think it's working pretty well. All right. Let's see here. Ah, yes. Now we're just yellow because none of these are being used. Awesome. Well,
doesn't like fabric.go APIs fabric v1 alpha 1 fabric.
Which one are you in?
APIs fabric v1 alpha 1 fabric. Expected v1 alpha 1 for the package.
Ah, well, let's make it so. Is it happy now?
Expect v1 alpha 3. That doesn't make any sense.
There's, wait, was this in doc.go? Oh wait, no, this should be fabric here.
Yeah, because it's not in the v1 alpha 1 folder.
Yeah. Oh well, seems to be okay over on this side. Let's just replace these real quick. Okay. All right. So what Marques was mentioning earlier is that we can, as opposed to, actually creating one of these, we can just say, let's just always observe and then populate the fields that we see. We can use the external name annotation to do that. And so, yeah, it's going to use new name's external name, but we're going to override that. Let's create like an examples directory here and see. Okay, examples, we'll make it network and device. So really all we need here is the metadata and then we'll need the external name annotation. Marques, do you want to drop that in there and I'll add the bits here to the controller? If you please.
Sorry. Is renaming
Were you not
things.
paying attention, Marques?
No. I was watching YouTube.
That's okay. Were you watching us on YouTube or just arbitrary?
I was PewDiePie. I don't know. Think of first YouTuber.
Oh man, this not autocomplete here is killing me. Well, that works though. Let's see, get device. So it looks like our external name is going to be the UUID. So
no, what I thought you had said was you wanted me to prepare our secrets, but
that's also fine if you want, or if you just don't want to do anything, that's fine as well.
Try to be useful. Do we know the format that we're looking for the credentials in?
No. Well, we were gonna say that we're just gonna manually provide the client ID. I don't know if y'all are comfortable with disclosing your client ID, but we could either put make a JSON type or a JSON schema with client ID and secret in it, but we have to put it all in one key. That is a drawback to this. But we could just make like a small type that's, even just, you could just make the OAuth2 config and then we could marshal that to the struct. Although I don't think it has tags, but we should be able to do it with the defaults here and just take the data that we get back here and just marshal it to the OAuth2 config struct. All right. Still not giving me autocomplete, but that's okay. Can I get the device here?
I think we're not getting autocomplete. There seems to be one error towards the bottom of the file.
Oh, gotcha. Is there? It's still showing fine for me.
Oh, I've got.
Also mine is a little delayed in the save here. Hold on.
Let's see if I can see what the error is.
Here we go. Okay, so
back to the semicolon dot end of file is what I'm seeing.
What line?
Well, right at the end, which is weird. So
can we that was there for me earlier, but it went away.
Should we just use them?
Restart? It's an option. Full screen.
We could, but then then we can't have the joy of sharing here.
You can work through the shared terminal.
That's true.
Yeah.
Or teammate. Or teleport.
All right, come on now.
Hit the restart language server. Maybe it'll help you out.
Thank you.
Could we not just do like a go build? Would that give us errors?
It would, but I mean, the go mod tidy should bring all of this in anyway, but we can also try this. Let's just. Oh, it's going to get mad at the length though, so I'm not sure if it's going to.
Get device not declared by package ME. Yeah, I wasn't seeing get device on the autocomplete either, but I did see it on the interface.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Let me just pull up the. Let's see if this works. See that autocomplete. I don't know why the. Let's see, get device. Is it only going to give me? Okay, well, this is good enough. So it gives me a device and error back.
You just deleted my code. That was my contribution.
I'm so sorry.
It's not how open source works.
I'm being a bad open source citizen right now. All right. And let's just say that we'll populate the, let's see, when we get the device. Now I can't remember what's actually in a device.
Oh, now I know why it wasn't working. It's not ne.get devices. It's c.ne.
Right. Once again, us just getting angry at the language server. What did it do to us? All right. What is something, do y'all know what fields are always present? I was just going to pick a simple one. Probably name. That would probably
it seems name present. And UUID. Yeah.
So UUID is going to be our external name there. So we'll say that actually in our external observation, resource initialized. Yeah, spec. So we're going to update the spec. So we'll say, or we could just put it in the status. Well, no, we'll update the spec. Okay. So cr.spec.for provider.name equals device.name. And then we should be able to do a C cube update context. And let's see, we want CR. We don't want any of this other stuff. Let's see, I don't think error returns anything. I mean, update returns anything. Oh, yeah, actually no error. Actually, I think we need to, that's, we're just gonna return empty ones instead of nil. Although nil should be fine, of course. All right. So this should basically observe it, do a get based on the external name, and then populate the name and the spec of the resource and do nothing else for us. All right, CR is used now, so appreciate if that error went away. Let's see. Yeah, looks good. And then Marques, you didn't do your job.
Captain? Sorry, which file? I was in the secret land.
Here. Oh wait, that's actually even better. If you've already done that. But I'm just gonna make an example here real quick.
Make an example of me.
Wait, was it equinix.com? It was, right? I think. Kind is device metadata name test device, annotations. Oh, I can never remember. I think it's, is it crossplane.io/external name? Let's see.
I have a directory not too far away that could use. Let's see what I can do here. In my Crossplane provider Equinix metal directory, I have some examples.
I think we're good to go here.
Okay.
We do need the UUID of whatever that device that you created was, David.
That I can manage.
You are too kind. Let's see here.
Did I just put that into the external name?
Yep. Should have comment or be unexported. Thank you, Linter. We are very concerned about that.
I have an Equinix Creds YAML secret that I'll apply now. It has a key field, and in the key field is a JSON with a client_ID and a client_secret. Is that what we want, or do we want a different format?
That should be fine. We'll need to add a type to represent that that we could just drop in the network controller for now. Let me fix this one thing real quick.
And it'll live in the Crossplane system. Namespace named Equinix-Creds secret.
Cool. Okay. So can you repeat what you're saying there to me? So type creds struct. You said it has a
client ID
uh-huh.
and a client secret. And they are client_ID and client_secret.
Nice.
And within the key name of the secret is key. The password is password.
What is that quote? I am the password, or passport, or whatever.
Yeah. My voice is my passport.
My voice is my passport. I should probably know that. That was probably embarrassing.
C-Tech. What is it? C-Tech Technologies. C-Tech. Now I'm embarrassing myself. No more secrets. No more secrets. Or is it too many secrets? Too many secrets or no more secrets?
I don't know.
I am so confused.
The movie is Sneakers.
Sneakers. I've not watched that in probably 20 years.
I've only been alive like 20 years, so I haven't. All right. Okay, and then we'll use, let's see, and you said you already created that in the cluster?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, and nothing. I was going to say, and it's base 64 encoded, but that's just the key. The key is base 64 encoded. Everything else is just in the JSON.
Cool. All right, so we have, this looks right to you here?
Yes.
Cool. Oops. Whoa. What did I just do?
What did you do? Oh, you copy pasted from my buffer. Did you just steal my secrets? No secrets in that file. We're good.
Oh, we just got, okay, cool.
We're cool. If those were my secrets, man, we'd have beef for dinner.
All right, wait, what did I? Undeclared name, client secret. Oh, that was silly. Don't laugh at me. I'm sensitive. All right. Here we go. I really am pretty sure I just added that comment. Device external status.
Device external status.
I don't know what's happening here. Oh dear. Maybe it just didn't save or something. If it does, oh, there we go. Now we're in the clear. All right. So, we could just run this locally potentially. The other thing we need to add to this examples here is a, oh. Did this get deleted? Let's try config.
Did what get deleted?
It was sad about me trying to open this. I don't know why it's not using.
I don't think it matters, right? Oh, you're trying to load a file that doesn't exist and it is blocking us.
Yeah, yeah, it's not a problem though. Okay, this is going to be our provider config here, where we're going to point at that secret. Provider config, and then we can just use default to make it use this one by default. We don't need this, and let me just take a look at the general format for a provider config here, because this will look pretty much the same here. Just take that. And then let's see. Crossplane system. What was the name of the
Equinix-creds.
Equinix.
And the key is key.
Nice.
In the key of key.
Okay. So we have both of those, and then can I just do things in your cluster now? I guess I can.
Presumably.
All right. Oh, and you already have Crossplane installed? Wow.
It's not a cluster if it doesn't have Crossplane.
Well, what we need to do.
I'm quite worried that your kind cluster has been running for 16 days. My kind clusters live maximum an hour or something. I just delete, create. Crazy.
I have another laptop that's hanging around here that I don't use too often, and I used it for one of our Crossplane demos, and kind of shut the lid and forgot about it, and then opened the lid, did some unrelated stuff, closed the lid, and I kept having these Equinix Metal projects appearing with devices in it, and then wondering how and why they were appearing.
All right. Let's see. I can do multiple terminal windows. Oh no, that just makes a new one.
Yeah.
Wait, is this this is
those are local
now?
Yeah, you can tmux on the shared.
Oh, that's cool.
You can vim inside of tmux inside of a shared window in VS Code.
All right. Well, I'm thinking we should just run this locally, so we don't have to actually push the images or load them into kind. But actually, let's see. What is our?
Or we can just like make run if it works.
Yeah, that's true. I'm not actually sure if is our make generate up to date. I hope. Do we have a make run target here?
Depends where you copied this from.
GCP, I think. It looks like it does. We need to it looks like that doesn't apply the CRDs though. So let me do that real quick. Package CRDs. All right, so that looks good. And we will.
Did I have that K alias or did you make that?
Allegedly you had it.
Awesome.
I
never use it. I'm always jealous when people use K.
Wait, can I get another shared terminal on yours?
I think Marques has to create it.
That robot means it's not me. I don't think. Yeah, let's try that. Make another.
You can create as many shared terminals as you want. Just feel free to stack them up.
Share
Oh my gosh!
You have to then right-click on it and say read write, so we can type on it too.
I have to right-click on the terminal and say read write.
On the
options
live share sidebar thing.
Okay.
So it'll list all the terminals. You can add more. You can right-click on them, say read write, etc.
let's see. No such file or directory.
That work?
Did
I give you
It
another
did work.
terminal?
Yeah, we've got 2 read-write
Okay.
ones now.
All right, we're actually just gonna see if this works for us. Aha, nice. All right, now let's hop over to this one. And I'll create the provider config. Oops, no, that's not what I want. Config. What did I call it? Config.yaml. Is it?
And equinix.com v1 beta 1. Is that right?
I think so. Let's look at our CRDs here.
I thought we were using alphas all over the shop.
Oh, equinix.crossplane.io. We are not for the provider configs because that's not like a new, it's a consistent API across them. So we typically introduce it at V1 Beta 1. That being said, you could obviously not if you prefer.
Equinix.crossplane.io.
Yep. All right, so that was created. Let's make sure that we didn't crash anything here. That seems like it's doing things. And all right.
We expect this to update our custom resource with something in the spec, which is the name of the device.
That's
right?
Correct.
I've been paying attention.
Unlike Marques, geez.
No, sorry. Yeah, I know we have we implemented update. Do we know if the remote API allows you to only update that one field? It should, right? It should.
Well, we're not going to update anything externally. You know what I mean?
What's the for provider?
That's just, we just categorize the sections of things that are actually the things that are the external resource, because we have some other things in the spec that are consistent across all Crossplane resources. Okay, that's not a great sign here. Let's see. Did our, let's see, reconciling.
Those 2 reconciles were already there before we applied.
Yeah, I know what the issue is here. Let me stop that. It would be helpful for sure if we actually added this controller. I'm just spitballing here, but I think that this is going to help. What do y'all think?
I mean, I was confident in your abilities. Now I'm not so sure.
That's totally fair. External resources up to date, so that's a good thing.
Is it good?
And we should see that the status is here, or the synced is true. We didn't change status at all. And name.
We have a name.
We have a name. Well, we're all getting promoted. All right. So now what we want to do is actually do some more things / potentially create one of these. We are, let's see, we're 20 minutes away from time. I think, Marques, you have a meeting coming up, you said.
Yeah, so maybe we just whatever we can do in 5 to 10 minutes.
Let's see. Should we let's since we only have 5 to 10 minutes, let's say let's think about what we're going to do for the next stream, right? So do we need to support anything else? And actually let me pull up the this Equinix Fabric Terraform here, and we can look at the resources that we have in this AWS example here. And let's take a look at the actual Equinix thing. So we need, let's see, this is just a data source. So we might not need that, actually, it sounds like. So we need the connection, and is the connection acceptor a separate thing? It sounds like.
Only for
references.
AWS, because the way that it works is that the Fabric can actually, the way that I think Google Cloud we accept on the Google Cloud side, the AWS we accept on the Equinix side.
Gotcha. Okay. So let's assume we're doing Google Cloud. Then we just need the connection and the device, I assume. And we already have the device. So the connection could be next. I think we've already given people probably a pretty thorough view of actually implementing those. So we might not want to do that on the next one. As far as, is there an example with GCP as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the Terraform provider Equinix, there's an examples directory. And the examples directory is a bit of everything.
All right.
Yeah, so click that, that'll get you there. Click that, and then from there, click on the report an issue. Yeah.
I think I can do that too. Let's see.
And then there's an examples directory.
Nice. This one?
Connectivity, yeah. Well, actually, what we're doing now, I think, is edge networking, but this is the one that, this is the resource we want to have implemented by the next time.
Gotcha. And then we should also be able to say, okay, so we have this network. I believe we have router. Interconnect, I'm guessing, is not supported. We can actually.
Is the Google provider one of your generated ones?
It is
partially generated.
Currently. Provider GCP.
Oh, what is this site we're on? Docs.crd. crds.dev. Did I hear about that on Clustered? No, that's not where I heard about it.
All right.
Random shout outs in the last 3 minutes, right? 5 minutes.
We actually used that during the CDKs episode of Rockwood Live, where we were we were doing an import from docs.crds.dev. It was awesome. I was generating CDKs types based on those. Really cool.
Yeah. A lot of people actually, we added that because it was needed for that, but I think it's not raw code, but yeah. So if you append raw to whatever the repository is that you want, you can just import these, and CDKs uses this too, basically for any, project that uses CRDs. They import these and then build their schemas from them, which is kind of fun.
Yep.
Fun fact, we this used to not come back in a consistent order, and it would break all of their integration tests because they had written them predicated on like them returning it and building the schemas in a certain order. So now I think we do alphabetical or something.
Don't get me started on Go's random map key access. Oh, no.
Hey man, it makes sense, kind of. All right. Okay, well, I think this has been a pretty good day in terms of stuff we've gotten implemented. Obviously, there's a lot of fields we need to support, but I feel like we're well on our way. Marques, do you want to maybe open this up in a PR, and then we can iterate on it a bit more potentially, and then the next stream we'll look at potentially adding support to provider GCP to be able to do this kind of full circle.
Sounds great.
Yeah, if you get that PR opened, and then I'll try and contribute a little bit to it as well over the next few days, and then we can get it up to speed.
Awesome.
Now that I've watched you two do all the hard work, I know which bits I need to start changing and stuff. So
he's going to add himself as co-author on all the commits I know. All right. Well, I appreciate folks tuning in. I definitely appreciate Marques and David helping out with this and teaching us a little bit about how Fabric works. Definitely really excited about this end-to-end demo we're kind of moving towards. But yeah, I appreciate folks enduring this kind of a tedious stream with us, and we'll look forward to more of these, and then maybe a more formal one where we actually demonstrate this functionality. But I hope everyone has a great weekend. And some of y'all, it's probably already close to the end of your day. So you made it. So congrats on that. And we'll see y'all again soon.
Thanks.
Cheers.